Hey guys, so one of the things, and I do apologize if I'm stuttering a little bit. It is late. It's almost 11 o'clock while I'm doing this. But when you think about the whole SD on BD thing that companies like Discotech are doing for a lot of old school animated anime live action, shows out there, shows from like the 80s, the 90s, early to mid 2000s, and even the 70s. When you think about, what they're doing with this SD on BD, series, which is short for standard definition on Blu-ray disc, one, you have to kind of appreciate the fact that they're, taking time out of their life, if you will, to make this happen. They're basically taking and making the effort to make this happen because not only do they realize that for them it saves on money when it comes to disc producing and all that, but it also saves on money in shipping the item out to the retailers online or in store that are going to be selling it on their behalf. And when it comes to shows like, let's say, Sonic X, if you will, comes to them, they got like 52 episodes altogether, or 98 episodes actually, 98 episodes I should say. I think it's 98, or seven, not 98, but 78 actually. I think it's 78. Yeah, all 78 episodes. Normally, all 78 would probably take up like 3 or 4 or 5, 6, discs. I should know because one of the things I would do on a Saturday morning, while I was getting ready for work or I was off on a Saturday, and everything, what I would do is I would record every episode. And I do have a box set. I do have a DVD plus R recording set, if you will, of all the episodes together, and many of those discs are comprised, not many of those discs, but that set basically comprised of, let's say, almost 10, maybe, 8, maybe 10 almost disc, if you have to go, I have to go back and count, but it's a lot of disc. So for Discotech to do what they're doing with, shows like that, it's a blessing. It's a blessing for people like you and me, and even someone like, to say, Zero Nizarak, when I asked him the question about this a couple of years ago. It's a blessing to basically be able to have that because it saves on shelf space. It saves on a lot of space for you and me, and anybody else that likes to have collective taste in, different genres and, and series and stuff like that. But why do I bring this up? Why do I bring this up? Well, it's quite simple. We, believe it or not, have been doing the SD on BD thing, for quite some time. We just haven't known it. And it all pertains back to something I've talked about before. And that is the fact that if you have a Blu-ray player, you pretty much have done the SD on BD thing already. The only difference is the Blu-ray player, depending on the TV it's connected to, and if it's a smart Blu-ray player, which most are, it will let that TV know that, hey, it's playing a standard definition disc, but it's upconverting the signal to match what is being played on. So for example, if I have a regular Blu-ray player, if I have a regular Blu-ray player connected to the 4K television here, then it's going to tell it that, hey, I'm basically sending you a signal, and then it's going to tell the TV that the signal it's sending, at most is 1080p. That's the highest it's going to convert it. But when it comes to, let's say, a regular television, like let's say that, a regular high-def television, which is both 720 and 1080, it's going to let it know, by its connection, that basically you're either going to have an up conversion of 720, which is mostly for a lot of DVDs, if you will, or 1080, depending on whether or not you're playing a movie and everything. And that's mostly a majority of what those would be. They'd be 1080, recognition, or easy for me to say, 1080 recognitions, if you will, if it's a movie. But if it's a series, then it's just going to up the bit rate to 720, and that's it. However, when it comes to being connected to a 4K player, or 4K television through a 4K player, basically, what happens is when you have a 4K player like this, if you will, and even that, which is an 8K player, that's what they advertise anyway. When you have stuff like that and everything, basically what it'll do is it'll send a signal to the television that it's connected to basic, especially if it's a 4K television, if you will. If it's a 4K television or an 8K television, if you're lucky to have one of those, it will send a signal that you're basically watching, or basically that you have a standard definition disc in the player, and that you want to and that you're going to be having it up converted, bit rate wise and all that, to match what the TV is. So let's say let's say that some of you may have an 8K television, right? But you also have a PlayStation as well, PlayStation 5, which advertises 8K, right? So let's say you have all that, then there's a good chance you'll be able to watch, let's say, a standard definition Blu-ray player, or not Blu-ray player, but disc, a standard definition Blu-ray disc like this. You'll be able to watch it, in 8K. That's what you're going to get. Or you might even be able to watch something like, let's say, the Tailspin series or Tiny Toon series, in 8K. That's if, the PlayStation 5 or even the PlayStation 5 Pro is 8K as it's advertised, and it, again, all depends on if you have an 8K television or screen to watch it on, and that should basically do the trick. But even though if you don't have that, and all you have, which a lot of people are having nowadays, is a 4K television and a 4K Blu-ray player along with your PS5, then what you're going to do, or end up having to do, or not do, but what you're going to end up having to see and get, is something like this in 4K at 60 frames per second, because that's how it's going to read it. Because even if something like that was made to be 480 at 24 frames, and then let's say you convert the bit rate through upconversion when you have a 1080 player or 720 or whatever the case may be, and it's only going to match what the TV is. But if you got something like, let's say, a 4K and all that, then pretty much what you're going to get is you're going to get a standard definition signal up converted to 4K to match what the screen it's on, and especially if that screen is 4K. So in other words, basically, long story short, and I know it sounds confusing, and I do apologize, it is late while I'm doing this. It's about 10:50 at night. I've had a long day today. But long story short, to get to the point, basically, for all the praise we can give companies like Discotech for doing something like this, we've been doing it for quite some time already due to the players and screens that we have. And if we wanted SD on 4K, we're pretty much getting that already whenever we pop in an standard definition disc, DVD, into a 4K player. Especially if it's connected to a 4K television, because what you're going to get is a 4K image, because the bit rate is being, pushed up a bit more, and it's being told, hey, add in a few more pixels. That's basically times more than what is normally on the disc, or the disc would provide. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to talk about that again. I do apologize for being a little out there and everything all over. It is late, but give me your thoughts on what I had to say here, and until next time, I am out.